Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today is part 2 in my hormone series, and that is signs your parrot will show when they're hormonal or exhibiting hormonal behaviour. I think it's important to be aware of the signs and what constitutes hormonal behaviour. Bear in mind though, also every parrot's an individual, so some of these signs may apply, some may not. Just take it in the context of how your parrot would normally behave and then go from there. Many of the signs and factors I'm going to talk about in this video may on their own may not necessarily be a sign of hormonal behaviour. It could be another environmental factor at play, but what's important to remember is if you start seeing multiples from this list, then it's going to give you a strong telltale pointing towards hormones rather than another behavioural issue such as stress, separation anxiety, or an environmental thing such as things going outside, etc. So it's important to go through the list, and if you if you tick one of the list, okay, maybe that's not really hormones. You start getting to 2 to 3, starting to get there. If you have 3 or more to 4, then you start starting to get a bigger picture there. Now, one of the biggest and most common signs of hormonal behaviour is increased aggression towards you, other flock members, or other members of the family. This can be exhibited through dive bombing, charging, foot biting, all sorts of things. And it is probably the most common sign that a parrot is quite hormonal. They will charge around, they will attack, and it will suddenly come out of nowhere. And if you watch my previous video, then it may be tied to seasons, all sorts. But it's very important to keep aware that this aggression may not be due to environmental factors, it may purely be due to hormones. Another very common sign of hormonal behaviour is what we call naughty behaviour. That may be rubbing up against things, that may be thrusting against corners, that may be doing both and vocalising. These are all signs of hormonal behaviour, and basically your parrot's trying to exhibit their natural mating behaviour on inanimate objects, or sort of leading up to nesting behaviour, which we'll talk about next. When your parrot's hormonal, you may see increased nesting behaviour. And by nesting behaviour, I mean like thrusting up into the corners, like the previous examples, seeking dark areas or dark spaces, such as behind the sofa, in kitchen cupboards, maybe in the corner of the room, all sorts of things like that. And you may see them actively try to produce nesting material, for example, chewing up bits. You may see lovebirds placing things into their back feathers. That is actually a hormonal nesting behaviour. You may see them chewing up paper, etc., moving it, all sorts of things like that. And you also may see some territorial behaviour of these nests. So if you approach them, they may get aggressive where they wouldn't normally and try to defend them. It's purely because they're defending what they see as a safe space for their chicks or future chicks. Now, another one that people don't often attribute to hormones but often is screaming and excess noise. Your bird may be stressed or frustrated, they may be hormonal, so they will scream, they will vocalise more, and they may make some other sort of unusual noises. Now, it's important not to confuse this with maybe separation anxiety or other causes of stress, but generally when a parrot's hormonal, they do get a little bit noisier. You may also see changes in mood from the norm, changes in behaviour. They obviously like some the ones in this list, but in other ways, or changes in how they react to various stimuli. For example, you may offer a step up, and normally they'll just step up with no issues. This time they may go to beat you, or they may fly away. It's important again to remember that other factors will cause these, but these are all very common signs of a hormonal parrot. Now, biting and beaking are also quite common signs of hormones, especially when they sort of come out of nowhere, when a parrot previously hasn't done it at all and then suddenly start doing it. It's important not to take it personally because, it's often we react and think, oh my goodness, what have I done wrong? Which is also worth bearing in mind just in case there is an environmental factor. But when you get bitten, it's important not to react, to just try and work out the cause, whether it is hormones or something else, and follow the usual techniques for decreasing the likelihood of biting continuing. Another thing as well, hormonal biting and biting in general is probably one of the major reasons why parrots end up getting rehomed. So if you can manage it and mitigate it, it's really important. When you're looking at signs of hormones, excess regurgitation can be a major one. Parrots will sometimes regurgitate as a sign of friendship, but when it's continuous and constant, that's when you're starting to think, hang on, is this a hormone or mating behaviour? Something to keep in mind. Occasionally it's fine, constant may be a sign of it. When it comes to hormones, this sign is often overlooked and is also often seen as a positive thing due to anthropomorphization, and that is increased cuddling and affection. Sometimes, if it's a solo bird especially, when they get very hormonal, they may get extra affectionate towards one human, wanting to cuddle more, wanting to rub up potentially and do all sorts of lovely things. And if you see that paired with increased aggression towards other humans in the household, then you may have a very strong telltale sign of hormones. And it's a difficult one to measure because, you know, sometimes increased affection could be for other reasons, but if you notice it in combination with other factors, then you can start thinking, maybe there's an issue here. This one may be kind of obvious, but I felt I had to include it, and that is egg laying. If your parrot's laying eggs, especially if they're a solo bird, that's a big hormonal telltale sign. Changes in relationships between flock members, between you, between other members of the household could be a sign of hormones. It's important to keep it in mind in context of other factors as well, like I've said for all of these things. However, if you do see sudden shifts, it's worth keeping an eye on it. So guys, thank you very much for watching this video on signs of hormones in parrots. If you did enjoy it, please do feel free to subscribe, to like, and to hit notifications so you can see more. The next video in this series will be triggers of hormonal behaviour, followed by solutions for helping with hormones. But in the meantime, from me and Pickles and Scampy's Cuddling, Sophie, take care and have a really nice day.